How many ads did you see today? 100? 1,000? What percentage of your email did you actually read? 10%? Maybe 20? How much information did you disregard today? How many messages went by without even being noticed? There's so much input coming at us nowadays that we've gotten pretty good at ignoring most of it. Maybe too good. Chances are you missed some little bit of information today that might have been of interest, maybe entertaining, possibly even useful. We're not likely to change our filters, read all our emails, click on every link. So how do nonprofits compete? How can they share their stories without getting lost in the shuffle? Lisa Miele is the executive director of the Low Vision Resource Center and OWL Radio. We're going to take a look at nonprofit outreach. Welcome to Bearcast. Lisa Miele comes from the worlds of psychology and education. She studied at the University of North Texas. Before taking the reins at the Low Vision Resource Center and OWL Radio, she served almost 2 decades in education as the director of Colonial Hills United Methodist School. She's also one of the executive producers of the Bearcast podcast. Lisa, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Certainly. Tell me a little bit about the Low Vision Resource Center and OWL Radio. What do you do?
The Low Vision Resource Center has actually been around San Antonio since 1997. We started when our founder, who was named Bonnie Truax, began to lose her vision. She was diagnosed with macular degeneration, and at that point, she was told, you're going to lose your vision, you're going blind, and she was sent home.
And that was it. That was it. As much service as you could get.
She got home and said, well, what do I do with that? What am I supposed to do?
Right.
And so she actually started the Low Vision Resource Center as the Low Vision Club. It grew so quickly and got so big that she realized that she was serving a wonderful purpose by bringing together the blind and visually impaired to be able to share experiences. And from those meetings came OWL Radio, because people in those meetings said, I miss being able to read the newspaper.
Right.
So she and Sally Wiskaman went to Houston, where there's another radio reading service called Sight into Sound, learned how to do it, came back, got a hold of Texas Public Radio. They gifted the sub-channel for us to have so we could get the word out there.
Right.
And then OWL Radio was born in 2002 to provide the written word to people who can't see.
So it's a broadcast service.
It's a broadcast. We're on 24/7, 365 days a year. The readings are done by volunteers.
Right.
We are even here on Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, New Year's Day.
Wow.
So pretty much San Antonio Express News is the number one thing that's requested, of course. We read that every morning, and It's repeated every night.
Okay.
But it's a wonderful service.
Well, in addition to the Express News, what are there business publications, or what else do you read?
We have the Rivard Report,
Okay.
business publications, Sports Illustrated, Southern Living, pretty much anything you can imagine, we've got it on there.
So general interest.
General interest, but we even have, your magazines like People Magazine,
Okay.
and things that bring just some joy because of the entertainment value.
Sure. You're the executive director. What does that mean? What is your role?
It pretty much means you do it all. The executive director, especially in an organization this size, we only have one full-time person, which is myself,
Right.
and then we have 2 part-time people. And last year, we were blessed with 257 volunteers who gave over 7,000 hours to us to make it happen. So when you're the executive director in an organization like this, it's all encompassing. You're
Right.
writing the grants, you're doing payroll, you're doing the outreach, you're speaking to groups. It's pretty much
You're the face of OWL Radio.
it's it. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. If anybody wants to know anything about OWL Radio, it goes through you.
It does.
Okay. As in that role, where you wear so many different hats and do so many different things and touch every aspect of the operation, what is your biggest challenge? What's the hardest part of that?
I think in this role, and I'm sure other nonprofits would agree with this, it's time to get everything done.
Right.
You're juggling multiple tasks while still being very engaged with all of the individuals that you need to be engaged with. And that could be your board, your volunteers, your staff, and most important, the clients that you're serving. So it's very difficult to juggle it, be effective. And I think most nonprofits wish that there was more than 24 hours in a day, but we can't change that.
It's one thing we can't change. Can't do anything about that. Nonprofit organizations, and you touched on this just briefly, are built around communities. The Low Vision Resource, or Low Vision, or Al Radio grew out of that Low Vision Club because there was a community that came together over a common cause, common interests. How did these people find each other?
You know, for us, I think it's mostly word of mouth, but the most important thing for us is collaborating with other nonprofits who are serving the same community that we are. Right. So we collaborate with the San Antonio Lighthouse for the Blind, for Incarnate Word School of Optometry, Region 20. There's people out there who are serving the same community that we are, and so that we don't duplicate efforts.
Right.
We work very closely to refer clients to one another too. Hey, this person can really use your services, or they would love to have an OWL radio. They would love to be part of the Low Vision Club. I think word of mouth is, especially in San Antonio, I think we are very good at taking care of one another here.
Right. So you that kind of lays out how the clients find you. How do your supporters find you? Do you have to market your organization? Is it like any other business?
That's the tough thing, is really where are you going to find the time and money to do that? You know, so speaking to groups and networking and being on social media it's very time consuming, it's labor intensive to do it, but you have to market your organization because you need your community to know what's going on out there, not just the clients, but the whole community. Right. So we do try to market, but it's mostly trying to get out there and speak with people.
So that face-to-face is your best tool.
Well, it's the one we can afford.
Right. Well, and I did a little research, and a recent survey by the Pew Research Center found that 73% of adult Americans engage with YouTube. And that's not just 73% of computer users, that's 73% of all of us, of adults in America. That's nearly 180 million people. So there is an audience out there. They can't all be watching cat videos. How important is it for nonprofits like yours to have those kind of media outreach tools like videos and photographs and the collateral material that goes into a standard marketing campaign?
You know, the impact of that is immeasurable, because we all know that when you work in a nonprofit, that telling your story is one of the most important ways that you can communicate what your mission is and the work that you're doing. On tight budgets and with limited staffing, there simply isn't enough time and money to produce videos like that on your own. And that's why we, the Low Vision Resource Center and OWL Radio, felt so fortunate to participate in BearFest, because for profits to be able to have that experience, work together, come out from the experience with a piece of video that they can use in their outreach over and over and over again, it's so valuable to us, because we couldn't get that in any other way.
Right.
And so are those tools important? They're extremely important. And if you're not coming from the nonprofit world, sometimes I think you might forget that that's not a budget item that we can have in our annual budget to produce videos like that, which is very expensive.
Sure. Yeah, that's one of the things about a nonprofit organization, and it's system-wide. It's not just your organization that marketing dollars are scarce.
Right.
They're when you have the choice of spending $1,000 on creating a video or $1,000 on serving your clients, that's a pretty easy call, and boards of directors are aligned that way. So
Exactly.
It's hard for a nonprofit organization to come up with even knowing it's a good idea, even knowing we need this, it's still hard to come up with the dollars to afford it. So, yeah, that's kind of why we started Bearfest, was because nonprofits don't have the resources to create those videos and photographs and graphics that they need. They need the tools.
You know, and I think standing back, I've now seen Bearfest 3 years in a row.
Right, you've been there all 3 years.
Yeah, and it's been such an amazing evolution to see how far it's come. But it's not just the video that you walk away with, which is very important. The fact that you get to spend so much time, especially on that particular night, being educated on what is going on in our community. Because when you've got your nose to the grindstone running your own nonprofit, you don't often get to see the outreach that's actually going on all over the city. And so it serves the purpose too. I've walked away many evenings going, I'm going to look into that particular nonprofit because I know someone who could use that.
Right.
I wouldn't have had that opportunity
Right.
to do that. You run into people at meetings and things like that, but they're not a focal point where you
Sure.
really get to hear the story.
One of the unintended consequences of Bearfest was we found that the nonprofit organizations that participate, they're all service organizations.
Mm-hmm.
They were founded very much like yours because people identified a need in the community and decided, I'm going to be the guy that addresses that. I'm going to do something about that. So what those non-service or those nonprofit organizations have in common is that they are service focused.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we found in the production of Bearfest is that the nonprofits are providing a service to the students. You look
Absolutely.
at it from one direction, that the students are providing resources to the nonprofit. We're going to produce this media. You flip that coin over, you look through the other end of that microscope, and you realize that the nonprofits are providing the students with a service, the chance to experience the community giving, the volunteering aspect, and the opportunity to learn to practice those media skills, not only media skills, but job skills, real world job skills.
Absolutely.
That I get to work with a client who has real expectations and real deadlines and real meaning behind what I'm doing. And for a lot of these kids, this is the first time they've had that kind of opportunity. So it's everybody benefits, everybody wins. And that's kind of how we set it up to be. That was
Absolutely.
the whole idea. And for the nonprofits to walk away with that asset at the end of the day is great. And for the students to walk away with that experience at the end of the day is also great. But when you combine those two things, that when you spend time with the students, I'm a big believer that every adult is a role model.
Absolutely.
You are a role model, whether you want to be or not. Kids are watching. Kids are watching what you do and how you go about it. You're either going to be a good role model or not so good. So to model that behavior for those students, to give those kids a chance to see people doing valuable work in their community with no expectations.
Exactly.
That's why I'm volunteering. I get my payment out of this, and it's not money.
Well, and there's nothing else like it.
Right.
You know, and that's the other thing I loved about Bearfest is there is no other avenue out there that provides that type of collaboration and that type of experience. And I really think those relationships that are forged during that experience, they last.
Sure.
You know, we stay in touch with a few of the people that have worked with us on these
That's
videos
great.
because it moved them, it touched them in some way, and vice versa. So it was definitely, I wish they had these everywhere because it really is something that is powerful.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We're pretty proud of it.
You should be.
And thank you for what you do. Thank you for the people that you serve and the opportunities that you're providing students to learn about it. And I think that's it. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks for being my guest.
Thanks for having me here.
My pleasure.